Hello folks, and thanks for joining me at my tying bench once again. Excuse me. This time around I'm going to tie you up what I like to call is just a mini marabou muddler. And I use this little fly here quite often if I'm fishing brook trout. It's a good little brook trout fly. It's tied on a size 10 mustad heavy wet fly hook. And you can tie in an array of different color marabous. I'm just going to tie one in the classic white marabou. And for the body I used gold holographic tinsel, but you can also use regular gold or copper tinsel or even silver as well. I've tied them in a variety of different color combos. And I thought I'd bring you along with this one this time around while I'm tying a few up, so we'll get this little guy with the vise here, a fresh hook in, and I'll get started. Okie dokie. Like I was saying, I'm using a mustad heavy wire wet fly hook here in a size 10. And I usually tie them like 8, 10s, and 12s most of the time. It gets a little tricky when you get them down if you try to go any smaller than that. You can, but the deer hair part of it gets a little tricky. Okay, we got our hook locked in the vise, so we'll get started. And for thread this time around, I'm using something a little different. It's a 50 denier GPS thread. And I just want that for the strength of it for spinning the deer hair section. Plus, it's very fine. You get a lot less bulk using this thread on your hook. So, but don't fret if you don't have it. You use just any strong thread that you normally use tying your muddlers. Okay, so we'll get that started. I'm just going to take a little wax on this thread for a little grip because it is quite slippery. Alright, we'll get started here, folks. I'm going to leave quite a bit of space behind the hook eye there. So we got a lot of stuff to go up the front there. Okay, we're going to wrap back almost to the barb there, just halfway between the point and the barb, and I'll snip that off. Okay, the tail's pretty simple. I'm just using on this one here, on all my marabou muddlers, just something red for the tail. And I just grabbed a red saddle hackle. I'm just going to pinch off some of the fibers at the bottom section there, just to put a little tail on this guy. I don't like that, so I'm going to grab another section here. You don't need too thick of a tail, but you want it, be able to see it, that's for sure. Alright, that looks good, so we'll come back lengthwise about the length of the hook gap there, so we'll get that tied on top. A couple pinch wraps there. Okay, that's about where I want it now. I'm going to trim that up to where I started my thread there approximately, and we're going to wrap down forward on that, try to keep it nice smooth underbody excuse me, for our tinsel. Okay, if you hear some noise in the background, sorry about that. A neighbor of mine's doing some kind of construction over there or something. So okay, now for the, like I was saying, for the body we're using some holographic gold. This is just a small size here, so I'll pinch off a section of that and cut that off rather and get that ready to tie in. Okay, now we'll catch that in on my side here, folks. Okay, just like so here. Line it down a few snug wraps. Now what I'm going to do is wrap that all the way back to the tail, then forward again. You don't necessarily have to wrap it that way, but I just find you get a smoother body on any streamer that requires tinsel. If you go down and back up once again, just overlap over top of the previous wraps, just like so. Then we'll move forward here, so I get to my tie-off point. Okay, come up around here, keep good tension on your thread, and we'll make a couple wraps forward on that tinsel, and then I'll fold it back. 3 or 4 more tight wraps. Give that a snip. Alright, now on bigger size marabou muddlers, I'll put an underwing like gray squirrel or calf tail, but on these small ones I omit that because I figure you don't really need it on these little tiny ones. So I've got a marabou here, just grabbed a marabou palm here. And I want to pull some of that off because I don't need quite that much for this little guy. And I'll take wetting that down a little bit there, just makes it easier to manage. Alright, and I want that to come back about even with the tail, somewhere around that area. Excuse me. And I'll catch that in with a pinch wrap here. Probably I'll usually do a couple. Okay. Okay, wrap that forward, a couple wraps nice and tight. Snip off the excess there. Okay. There's our wing. Bind that down with a couple more wraps, secure it well. Okay, now for the overwing, I do use a couple strands of peacock herl on this small size 10. As I go up in sizes, I usually have 1 or 2 strands of the herl on top, but for this 10 I'll just use 2 strands. I'll tie these right on top, and it doesn't matter if these come out a little longer than your wing, it doesn't hurt. Okay, a couple pinch wraps there. Okay, as I was saying, that that thread is really strong. Just tying that in and cut that herl right off. I was going to snip it off anyways, but it sort of done the job for me, but that's fine. I had it cut in. So there's our overwing. I'm just going to wrap forward all that down. Nice tight wraps there. Alrighty, so now we're ready for the head of the fly. And for these smaller sizes, I just use 1 clump of deer hair for the collar and the head of the fly. So I'll show you here how I go about that. Okay, I've already got some of my stacker here. It's just natural grade, light gray deer hair off a square I had there, and we'll pull that out of the stacker, get the ends even here. You don't need a whole lot of hair for these little guys. Just going to trim the end even there. Okay. There's about how much I want right there, and that's going to do my collar and the head. And what I'll do is just measure that up so it comes back to where the body ends by the tail, in that general area. And I'm just going to take my fingers and spread it around. Bring my thread up around, right in front of my fingers there. I'm going to make 1 wrap. Then I'm going to release, pull down tighter, and tighter once again. Then I'm just going to wrap all that forward towards the eye. Just like so. Okay, there we go. And my thread's right behind the eye now. And now you'll see we have our collar and the hair that I'm going to clip down for the head. Because I want a real small head on these little guys. So now what you want to do, just wiggle your thread up through and sort of pull back on that hair, sort of pack it back a little bit with your fingers. And we're going to jump in front and build a small head on this little guy. Just like so. Alrighty. And I'll bring in my whip finisher here, and we'll do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish on him here, folks. Once I get a hold of that hair out of my way. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and I'm just going to grab a razor blade here, just cinch that nice and tight, and I'm just going to snip that off with the razor. There we go. Okay, so that's that part, the tying part. So now, what I'll do with this little guy here is just leave him in the vise for now. Okay, and I'm just going to go along and snip it down along here. Just turn the vise and snip as I go. Sort of on an upward angle. Just like so here. It's a pretty simple little muddler to tie. You can tie quite a few in a hurry if you've got all the materials laid out and ready to roll. Okay, a few ones there that are sticking up, I want to cut those stragglers out. Okay, and I'll take it out of the vise to finish it, but it might go out of camera there for a bit, but it shouldn't take me long to finish them up, folks. Okay, trim a little on the bottom, a little there. And as you can see, there's plenty of hair there for the collar and the head. I didn't have to use 2 sections. Okay, now I'm just going to remove them from the vise for a sec, folks, here. Just to finish them up. Okay, just bear with me here. I'm just going to trim around the collar a little and neaten the head up a little bit, and then I'll put them back in and show you the finished deal. And you can clip, I like to have like a sort of a roundish, bullish shaped head on them, bullet shape rather. Or you can just clip a round head, whatever shape head you want. I don't think the trout really care all that much. It's just for us more or less the tire. how neat we want the heads to be. And as you know, sometimes the rougher the better on a fly. Doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of times you fish these and they get beat up a little from the fish. They work all that much better. So we all know that. Alright, that's good enough right there, and more or less to show you the general idea and the shape that I like on these. So I'll put them back in the vise here. Pop them back in, and there we go. Just gonna get a finer pointed pair of scissors here, a little finer points to trim a little more on the bottom there, folks. Alrighty. That doesn't look too bad right there. That's fine. I probably would trim it up a little bit more before I threw it in my box, but it's not necessary. I'm just being a little fussy here, folks. Alright, I don't want to get too crazy here, so. Alright, we'll call that done. But you get the idea anyway, so. There it be. I got one spot there I don't like the looks of, but I do have to fix that. Alright, there we go. One more, a couple more hairs right there. Alright. Okie dokie. I know I've said I was done before, but anyways. Whoops, there goes my hair stacker. Okay. Well, there should be anyway, folks. That's what they look like. Simple little muddler to tie. And I definitely recommend giving a few of these a try if you fish any amount of brook trout fishing. So one last step I'll do is put a little bone dry on the thread wraps on the front there, and she'll be done deal after we cure it. Just going to put a little on the head of the fly there. Little coat on the thread wraps. And if you want to as well, on the body there, which before you wrap the tinsel, put a little super glue down. That'll make it even more durable. Well, there should be another size 10 mini marabou muddler. And like I was saying at the start, you can tie these in a variety of colors. I've tied them in white, gray, black, just about every color marabou. Now that I think about it, I've tied them in and tried them. So, like I always say, if you haven't seen my videos before and you'd like to see more in the future, hit that good old subscribe button there if you wish, and also throw in a like too. I appreciate that. And if you have any comments on this fly or anything at all, put it down below and I'll definitely read them. Appreciate your comments as well. So folks, until next time, like I always say, happy tying out there. I'll see you all again soon, and so long for now.